and I am a mom here in Michigan, and I'm here to share everything that happens in my kitchen with you. On a day-to-day basis, I am cooking for my husband Dan and my two girls, Emily, who is 21, and Olivia, who is 12, who are still living at home. I also have a 23-year-old son, but he does not eat dinner with us every day because he is no longer living at home. Today's dinner is a great one. I don't know if you are like me, but I have eaten way too much Easter candy and I'm ready to get some good, healthy nutrition back in my body. So this recipe, the title of it is called Detox Soup through the website Pinch of Yum. I will leave the link in the description box. But I just consider it's a vegetable and lentil pea soup. It is super hearty and delicious. Just gives you all the good things that you're looking for, and I really hope you enjoy it. So let's start cooking. Oh, and if you're not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button. I love to have you here and share all these kinds of great recipes and all the different things that happen in my kitchen. Hello, here I have a crock pot soup. The name of this soup is Detox Soup. That's what they've called it. I don't really believe in the whole eat this and we'll detox your whole body kind of situation. It's really just a delicious soup. I've made this one lots of times. What I have here on my board is 2 cups of potato, 2 cups of sweet potato. The recipe calls for butternut squash, but I didn't have any, so I decided I'm going to swap out some sweet potato. It calls for 2 cups of carrots, but this is all I had. This is probably just a little bit less than 2 cups of carrots, but I figure we will be okay. The other thing it called for that I don't have is a chopped onion, but I do have some onion powder, so I think I am just going to roll with that. I'm putting everything into my crock pot. This is one that you probably want to do low for 8 hours or high for 4 to 5 hours. You're going to put both lentils and split peas. So these are dried lentils. They come in a bag. They're usually also by the dried beans and things. This is what they look like. They look very similar to a dried pea, but it's its own thing. It's a starch. Very mild in flavor. You have different color options, usually greens and yellows, sometimes brown. There probably is a flavor difference, but honestly, I haven't noticed a flavor difference in whatever color I've purchased. So I don't think you would either, but somebody who's really into it might. And then just green split peas, like you do split pea soup. They're dried also. This is 3/4 cup dried peas. Put those in next. And then for our seasonings, it calls for 8 cups of either vegetable broth or chicken broth. I like to use broth bouillon base. So it's 8 cups. So I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of this because that's a lot of water. Also not having the onion. It could take a little extra if that was a little bit much. But you could use bouillon cubes, anything you like. You can, of course, do fresh parsley. It calls for 1 cup of fresh parsley, but I have dried parsley, so I'm going to do a tablespoon of this in here, and here is my onion powder. I will do, let's see, probably a couple teaspoons of this. Yeah, I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of onion powder because I do not have the chopped up onion in there. The recipe calls for something called herbe de Provence, which I do not have. But I did a quick Google search, and herbe de Provence has like 8 herbs mixed. The 2 of them that I had that it called for are thyme and rosemary. So I'm going to do 1 teaspoon of each of those. It gets really, really delicious. At the very end, you put it in like 1/3 to half of the soup into your blender and blend it, and then put it back into the soup so it's a nice, thick, rich, creamy soup. And you can use kale or spinach at the end. You wouldn't want to put that in now. It would way overcook and like disintegrate. It would be gone. You couldn't even tell it was there after 8 hours in the crock pot. but you can just stir in, especially fresh spinach, and it will be perfect. I'm going to do 1 tablespoon of my garlic, like this. And that's all. Comes together super simple. Of course, there's your chopping to get done. I did chop, it's morning time on my way to work, but if you would like to chop at night, the potato, you could chop the carrots and the sweet potatoes. The trick to chopping potatoes the night before and keeping them from not turning brown, what you need to do is you chop your potatoes, you cover them fully with water, whatever container, and then put it in your fridge. If they're covered in water, they will not turn brown. And so if you had that time the night before to do all the chopping, it's even faster in the morning. See, it makes a huge pot. Give it a quick stir. 8 hours on low, and I will show you what it looks like at the end of my day. Okay, it is after work. It is 8 hours later. This has been cooking for 8 hours on low. It looks really, really good. The peas and the lentils are all really soft. Everything is ready to go. And now we're going to start in about half of this soup. I'm going to put it here in my lovely Ninja food blender. I really like this thing. We got this from Sam's Club a while back. But I'm just going to fill it up with about half of the soup and blend it up, and then you add it all back. When you do blend it, you are going to add about anywhere from 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of olive oil. That olive oil is really going to give it a nice texture. This soup is super lean. You know, there is no meat, there's no fat, there's, you know, hardly anything. So adding that olive oil to it is really going to give it a nice texture. So I read up a little bit about lentils. I don't know if that's something new to you. A lot of people have had split peas, you know, and split pea soup and everything before. But lentils are really high in fiber, folate, and potassium. They are really good to help people control their cholesterol and their blood pressure. So if you haven't had them, try maybe a little bit more of just the broth. This soup could be vegan and vegetarian if you use a vegetable broth. So really quick swap out, and you know, got some people who have different foods that the way they eat, dietary restrictions. There we go. You're good to go. So I'm gonna pop my lid on here and give this a blend. You gotta turn it on, and we're just gonna do it. Here we are, all blended up. You missed it because I had to stop, but I did end up adding the oil. I did it off camera, but I added the oil and blended it in the blender so it was nice and smooth. And we're going to add this all back into here. About to say, I don't know if the blade will fall out. Well, it did. Okay, time to go fishing. With my ladle. It's going to be hot and sharp, so be careful. There we go. Okay, and then you're going to just mix that all up. It gives it a nice creamy richness and thickens up the soup. Looks really, really good. Now I'm going to, got my big bag of spinach. I don't know, it's probably about 2 cups worth. I'm just going to put a couple handfuls of some spinach in here and stir it in and let it wilt down. If you're doing kale, if I was doing kale, I would definitely chop it up. Kale is pretty tough and thick. I have not yet added salt and pepper to the soup. Let me give it a quick taste test. The chicken broth base is sometimes very salty, so you know, waiting to taste is the best plan. I would say it does need a little salt and pepper. I'll go ahead, add that in. There we go. Stir it up. It's going to need a few minutes for that spinach to wilt down into the soup. I'm really splashing it all over, but it is looking really, really good. You're going to feel really good after eating this for dinner. Super healthy. Tons here. You know, have a second bowl. No guilt. It's absolutely healthy and delicious. And I hope you give it a try. Thanks for watching.